Okay, so I think we'll get started in a second. There's a couple of people coming in still, so any questions before we jump in with today? Anything from yesterday that you guys have before we start? Cool. So just remember we'll do hot seats this afternoon, so there's probably space for like 2 more people, I would say. So if you want to do that, just head to the back in the breaks and drop your name. But today we're more Facebook focused, so hopefully yesterday it gave you some better context for the funnel side, compliance side, and really just kind of what goes in on the back end. So if you're in an agency, kind of realizing where maybe your clients are not supporting you and they don't have the correct funnels and how that can make your life harder. And then obviously if you're your own brand, maybe where there's areas missing in your own brand that might mean you're not actually ready to do Facebook or run Facebook, or you need to optimize some funnel aspects. Because, you know, what I try and teach is a lot of the time to my clients, I say, I believe Facebook's the easiest part of this whole equation if everything else is perfected and in alignment, right? Like when we have good funnels that have really been dialed in, really strong offers and hooks, we can scale up and, you know, do 5-10 grand a day within a couple of weeks sometimes, okay? And that's not rare for a lot of our clients with broad offers or e-com. But, you know, if we don't have a funnel that's optimized, get into 10 grand a day can take 3 or 4, 5 months, okay? So just, I think, understanding the importance of the funnel side and the offer side and the copy side, because everyone is very quick to run to Facebook ads when often they're not ready to run for Facebook ads, right? So I'll go through the first session today. It's kind of more basic, big picture overview, and then I'll go into more depth as the day goes. Kind of mid-morning, we'll do some creative work. So I'll kind of run you through my process and our agency process for creating actual, like how we structure all the ads, okay? So how we'll, when we'll like launch a new campaign for a new client, how we'll set up the targeting and then all the headlines, the copy, the designs, the graphics, the videos, and really what I think you should launch with. Because a lot of the time I'll see new campaigns and from old agencies or old in-house teams and even my own media buyers before I train them, where they kind of go live, but they go live with like 5 ads and a few audiences, and it's not really a good test or real representation. So I've kind of created a system which is much more in-depth for testing, which I'll share today as well. Okay, so like I said, we'll cover what's kind of working now, basic setup strategy, like how I see the Facebook pyramid, so top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of funnel, kind of the foundations around different ad levels, so ad targeting, audiences, the campaign level, video ads and creative. So I shared some of those video ads with you yesterday. They do really well in my agency. They're some of our best ads. And then kind of my ATX method for testing. So that's kind of how many ads we tend to launch out the gate. And it's not too complicated when we break it down, and we have a worksheet where I'll help you do that. I'll talk a little about dynamic ads. So who here runs a lot of dynamic ads right now? Okay, so only a few of us. So dynamic ads, I mean, they make up a big percent of what we run at the minute. CBO and then a lot of cap cost bidding. So a lot of the ways we scale a lot of our brands is through cap costs, so target cost. That does really well for us, especially when we have an offer that's proven, it has a little traction, the pixel's a little seasoned. We can scale from a couple of grand a day to 5 or 10 grand a day within a week sometimes by using more cap cost bidding. I'll kind of talk about scaling 10 grand plus a day. Who here is spending 10 grand a day or more on accounts, their own accounts, just one account? So a couple of us, great. So, you know, I'd love your guys' input too when we get to that, like what you found. How to kind of plan your own creatives, so how we kind of go through that thinking process, because like I explained yesterday, the big mistake I see a lot of companies and agencies make is they try and have their media buyers planning the creative side and just kind of, you know, in general, most media buyers aren't very creative, right? They're very technical and data-driven. So understanding that difference, and if you only have one person that's doing everything, giving them more of a structure to help pull that creativeness out of them, or if you have a bigger team, using strengths within your team, right? Using creative people to work on creatives and media buyers to scale accounts. And then, like I said, this afternoon, we'll go into hot seats and Q&A to finish, okay? So this is kind of how I see the Facebook funnel. For most of you, it's pretty basic, right? But I wanted to cover it so we're all on the same page out the gate. So top of funnel is probably where you're going to spend 70–80% of budget at scale. If you're spending $500 a day, you might be spending more middle and bottom of funnel, but I'm talking if we're spending $5,000–10,000 a day, we're probably putting most of that budget to top of funnel and scale into cold traffic. And they can be, all the ads I discussed yesterday, right? So content ads, obviously sales ads once you've got an offer converting straight to cold traffic. If you have an offer that can scale to cold traffic, like my agency, that's kind of what we specialize, scaling straight to cold traffic. So for us, we're doing a lot of sales ads up here. But I know other agencies might do more just content, and then they do a lot more sales ads middle of funnel. Obviously run into webinars, opt-ins, advertorials, blog posts. And then middle of funnel, you're kind of retargeting people that probably aren't buyers yet, but they're engaged. So that could be, and everyone has a different definition of top, middle, and bottom of funnel, but this is kind of how I see it. So middle of funnel, so it can be people that like Instagram posts, follow you on Instagram, Facebook, people that go to register for the webinar, but they don't register, or maybe people that have registered, but they haven't watched it fully and converted, people that have viewed sales pages, cart pages. So that's where your retargeting is. You make a lot of money here if you're doing the retargeting right. So you should be getting probably middle of funnel and bottom of funnel. We're looking for like a 4 times ROAS or above minimum. Most of ours are maybe 6 to 10 times ROAS for middle and bottom of funnel. Bottom of funnel is obviously just buyers, right? So it's maybe converting really warm leads that aren't buyers, depending on how you categorize it, or it's purely buyers. So it might be converting people that booked a call but didn't actually buy, people that went to the cart page and didn't buy. Maybe it's buyers of a previous program that you're trying to convert to a new program, so people that have been in your ecosystem for a long time. And these budgets can vary, but like I said, I would do 70–80% of ad spend here, and then maybe 10, okay? And it just depends. Like if you're running a crazy amount of ads, have a massive brand that has millions of views, you can maybe even put like 20% here, 10% here, 70% here. But if you're spending 10 grand a day, put in 1,000 here, 1,000 here, that's a lot for those audiences because they're small, right? So you probably don't need much more. And it's all linear. So if you're spending $500 a day, you might only need $50 to $100 here because the audience pools are much smaller, right? There's less people hitting the page, there's less people hitting the cart page, there's less probably people on your email list. So it just tends to scale in proportion to what you're spending on top of funnel. Any questions on the kind of funnel side here, an overview? No, good. So campaign structure, so this is kind of how we look at different, the 3 different levels and how you can manipulate those 3 tiers. So top is campaign level. That's where we're basically duplicating or setting up new campaigns to manipulate the following variables. So CBO, we might be testing ad set versus CBO. We are doing a lot of cap costs, so different tiers. And one thing I've seen a lot of people mistake with cap costs, so who here runs like cap cost bidding? So only a couple of us. So that for us, if you have like lower ticket info products, that's where we put over half of our budget on bigger campaigns. The big thing, so for cap cost, how it works, say I have a $50 supplement bottle, right? I want to pay a $50 CPA max. I'll set it up and I'll say, hey, Facebook, I want to pay $50. And it'll run traffic and it'll try and hit that CPA goal. Now, the way we actually do it, where I don't see many people do it, is we'll do lots of different tiers within that. So a lot of people will say if it's a $50 CPA, they'll just set up campaigns at $50 CPA goal, right? Or maybe 40. But we'll actually do multiple tiers. So we might do one campaign at 50, one campaign at 45, one campaign at 40, one campaign at 35, one campaign at 55, one campaign at 60, and we'll normally go like $20 higher than the CPA and $20 lower than the CPA. And that for us has been like a big game changer, letting us scale. And it's super interesting. Like I just scaled a supplement account of one of our clients from $500 a day to $5,000 a day this last week. He's at like a 2.5 ROAS to cold traffic in a week. It's really good. But the way I did that was exactly that method there. And his CPA goal is $70, and I went all the way up to $90 as a cap cost goal. And on some days, the $90 cap cost campaign is spending $2,000 a day, and it's at a $60 CPA. So just because you set it as $90 doesn't mean it's going to charge you $90. It just gives Facebook's algorithm more budget. And some days the $70 CPA cap cost will spend $80 as a CPA, and the $90 one is actually coming in at a $60 CPA. So having those tiers is really important, especially when you're scaling. If you have an offer that converts straight to cold traffic, especially e-com info, it's really, really powerful. Do you have a question? We have the mic. A couple of questions.
Yeah, I think you kind of answered the question. But, so when you set up the campaigns with the cap cost, you don't just set all these up. You don't set all these up like $20 more, $20 less to find the winner, and then you turn the rest off. You just let them run.
I mean, we just let them run if they're in the CPA goal.
Yeah.
But like we'll have the 70 running, the 80 running, the 90 running, the 60 running.
Yeah.
So we'll leave them all running as long as they're in the CPA goal. Yeah.
Cool.
And there was a question down the front.
So when you're running all of these CPA goal campaigns, are you running them simultaneously?
Yep.
How do you avoid the audiences fighting against each other to serve?
We go very broad. So most of our offers are pretty broad. So we're doing no filter or just engaged shopper. So it's like 50 million people.
Gotcha.
So it's, yeah.
So how are you balancing the spend on, like, if you're going 60, 70, 80, 90, are you putting like a lot higher budget on like the 60?
We do high budgets. So if I was to set this up, if I know the offer's converted in the first few days, I'll be pretty aggressive and do like $1,000 per campaign.
So all of them are like the same?
Yeah, similar. Yeah. Because we're putting multiple ad sets, different audiences and creatives within that campaign. It's not like it's just one ad set and ad, right? So it might have 10 or so ads, and because it's on CBO, Facebook will kind of let it do its thing, and it will have like 2 of the 10 are spending most of that budget. And then, but yeah, I try and go pretty high because I want Facebook's algorithm to kind of see where it's at. And also most of my clients are looking to spend 10 grand a day plus. So they'd sooner have a couple of bad days losing a grand or not being profitable for a few days, but hitting 10 grand a day within a week or two than like 4 months, but being like super careful.
When you talked about broad audiences, do you have any recommendations? Like you do a lot of like just open targeting, and like if you were doing a fitness brand, would you load it up with fitness interests and behaviors to capture all that stuff, or would you recommend?
Yeah, so we would like for fitness, we run like a third of our business is health offers and fitness. So we might run no filter at all, so no interest targeting. We might do another one that's like health and fitness, which is like 30 million people. We might do another one that's like 20 interests combo that I know over the last 5 years have been strong single interests in a combo. We'll probably do like 0 to a 10% lookalike as one pool versus segmenting it like I used to. So yeah, that sort of thing. Weight loss might be another one. That's a big one.
When you're split testing, do you make your decision on when to cut the losers based off of impressions or like your objective or how much you've spent?
It's hard, yeah, more what I spend. It's kind of hard to categorize it because I think when you've done it for so many years, you just have like an intuition of like, this is not going to go well, this might be okay, I'll leave it on. So mainly spend, CPA, and ROAS, or spend CPA. So it's very hard. Like my team have asked me to create like a rule, like if it spends 4x this, you know. So, but I still monitor all the accounts I run. Like my team do all the setup for me because that's the time-consuming thing. But then I'll be the one scaling and monitoring it because there's a level of like I don't think you can like SOP how to cut stuff because sometimes you'll cut stuff if you create a rule around it that might just need a few more days to optimize. So it's very hard to give a rule. Like I've kind of told my team like 4 or 5 days in, if it's like not close to the CPA, like within 20%, we'll tend to pause it. But if it's within 20%, we'll probably keep it going. But again, like I'm the one that's really turning stuff on and off and scaling just because I think you could do okay with that, right? Like get it 80% right with that kind of rule or a rule. But there's just like something about experience with the account that you can kind of naturally tell because every offer's so different, right? And it depends on the audience size, the impressions. Like sometimes you might have high CPA goals, and if it has one bad day, you might like by definition say, okay, now I need to cut that. But you might, if it had 3 good days and it's just spending a lot, you might cut an ad now that could have gone and spent 200K profitably over the next 2 months. So yeah, sorry that's not a super
No, it
clear
actually
answer.
helped out a lot. You just saved one of our media buyers' jobs by answering that because I keep going to her and I'm like, why can't you SOP how you're deciding which ones to scale and turn off? And she goes, well, a lot of it is me just having a feel because I've seen this particular ad for
Exactly.
so long. And I kept asking her, I'm like, we need a process for this.
Yeah.
And she's like, I can't come up with a process
It's tough.
for it.
Like we have 300 SOPs in my business, so we're more SOP based than most businesses. But that's one of the ones that
You don't have.
we've created it, but I don't like. I'm still in charge of it because I've realized that it's just it's pretty tough. You can create like she could write out her train of thought and best practices, but she's right that if she's got enough experience, some of it's just the feeling of it. Yeah.
But you do have an SOP for how you split test that you'll go over later?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
Any other questions so far? Cool. So, and then obviously auto bidding. How we tend to do less auto bidding now. Like we'll start with just like letting it run, and then we'll switch and scale more aggressively with cap cost. Especially because we're just scaling more aggressively, right? We're trying to go from 2 to 5 grand a day in a week, 5 grand to 10 grand in a month, and that's harder to do on just normal bidding. And then target cost, just like another form of cap cost. I don't like it as much. Just normal cap cost is best for me, but some people have good success with target cost. I split test it a lot, and it never seems to beat it. So audiences, so these are like the variables. So we'll duplicate campaigns here to test these variables. We'll duplicate audiences within campaigns to test these variables, right? So we're testing audiences, obviously. Dynamic ads, a lot of the time, the way we work is we start with dynamic ads. We'll run dynamic ads in new accounts for 2, 3, 4 weeks. And then most people don't know this, but at the ad level, you can still see the results of all the dynamic ads, right? So we're monitoring that very closely, looking for trends. The downside to dynamic ads is, like Facebook's always done, it kind of goes, oh, we're going to just scale these 2 headlines versus the other 4 or 3. So we'll try and look for trends. When we found trends, we'll take them into individual ad sets and ads that are non-dynamic to then verify those trends. And then we'll kind of have a winning headline, image, and copy. And then we'll create it as a single ad and page post. And then we'll run a ton of traffic to that page post because it's going to get all the social proof, right? The downside to dynamic is it gets way less social proof because it has like 30 variables. So that's important. Does that bit make sense, what I just said there? Question at the back.
So what's your definition of dynamic ads? Are you saying dynamic ad or dynamic ads or?
Well, so when you set it up at the ad set level, you can click dynamic ad, and then it brings it on the ad level. You can then put 5 headlines, 10 images, 5 pieces of copy, and you can test, 30 variables or even more combos. So it's just a way to test quickly that's how our copywriters will create our ads, right? They'll write 5 top of funnel copies, 5 headlines, we'll pick 10 images, and then that's what we'll set up and run. So we're testing a lot of variables out the gate. In the past, we used to do it before dynamic. We'd set all these individual pages, like posts up, whereas now we can just put it in a dynamic and it's quicker.
How quickly do you get statistics back that which one is better than the other?
Depends how much you spend. If you spend $2,000 a day, you get data back in 3 days. If you're spending $200 a day, you might need to spend 2 weeks getting enough data.
That long? Okay.
Yeah. But like I said, it's still, the only downside to it is Facebook will pick, like, you know, 2 winners where the way, so this is how it works, right? I go in every day and see this. Say you set up 5 audiences and they're all going to the same dynamic. And then you'll go to the ad set level, you'll show the breakdown, and you'll look at top headlines. You'll look at the first one and there'll be a headline that says like, free plus shipping, $4.99, that's the winner. Second ad set, so second audience, totally different winner, and they didn't even spend any money on the winner before, right? Third ad set, they have spent it on something totally different. Fourth ad set, okay, now the number one is kind of winning. So it's very hard to look at trends because Facebook has a habit of like, even if there's a winner in ad set 1, they might not even spend on it in ad set 2. So that's why we like take trends and then try and verify them more solidly with like single ads to single headlines or single image, because you don't want to, I personally wouldn't want to risk like picking a headline because it looks good and just like saying, okay, this is the winner. Like we'll take the top ones because there are some clear winners and clear losers eventually, but then we'll second verify them with single ads. So single headline, single image, single copy, right? There's a question here.
Do you do all this through Ads Manager, or are you
Yeah.
using any third party?
All for Ads Manager.
Do you, like, for the setup, do you often have your team, like, export a previous ad and change it up and then import, like, using that editor piece?
For new campaigns or in the same?
Campaigns, yeah, or do you basically
No, we normally
set
just
up the
they just
editor?
normally go in and set it up because we have like such a like smooth system and SOP, and the copywriters write it a separate like a set way with the headlines and like I said, to start we're testing a lot. But once you've set up one ad to a dynamic, if you want to duplicate it to 10 audiences, you just duplicate, throw them in, it takes 2 minutes. If you want to now duplicate that campaign and do 3 levels of cap cost, takes 2 minutes. If you want to duplicate it and do CBO, takes 2. So you can like set up 80 ads and 10 campaigns. Once the first one's done, it takes 10 minutes. That's why I still monitor the accounts and scale it, because as long as the initial setup's done and the team are loading the creatives, because that's what takes the time, I can monitor it pretty quick.
When you scale up on these businesses and there's so many ads and so many split tests, is there a QA process that you recommend to avoid stupid mistakes?
Yeah, I mean, so we don't monitor any of the social posts, so that's a big part of it, that they monitor all the comments and the posts. Within the account, I wouldn't say we have, I mean, my team set it up, I go in, check it, and then, yeah, I wouldn't say there's any like in-depth QA process because they're doing the setup, I'm verifying it, and then I'm never wrong, so there's never mistakes, you know, it's
Yeah.
fine. My team will tell you that, I'm always
And
right.
well, one more thing, do you do automatic placements, or do you recommend for Instagram?
Yeah,
that out
a
and
mix.
doing-
So we'll do a lot of auto placement. Sometimes we'll do Instagram only, Facebook only. Yeah, just depends on the creative, the offer.
Yeah.
If I think it's better on Instagram, Facebook, if I want to split test it, or if I want to do auto. And all of this, like, you know, until about a year ago, I was segmenting way more. Right? I think a lot of us probably were. Segmenting more interest, segmenting more creatives, placements, audiences. But the last year, half a year, I've tried to move much more to bundling everything because it's kind of seems better now. You know, and that's what Facebook have been saying for 5 years, but it seems they've only pulled it off in the last half a year.
Yeah, okay.
Any other questions? Back.
Do you find that if the campaign needed to run for like less than 2 weeks, dynamic would be better, or the setting up the ads per ad set?
Probably dynamic. Yeah.
Dynamic.
Yeah.
And do you use data ad sets?
Yeah, but I mean, what sort of campaign is it?
Because we have seminar campaigns, so
Okay.
usually it only runs for the duration of when we're promoting.
Yeah, if you don't have long, it's probably too hard to. If you were setting up a bunch of different ads and headlines and images, I think it would be too hard to. What sort of spend is it in a 2-week period?
So could range from 2.5 to 5,000.
Yeah, I'd probably do dynamic still. Because I think you'll spend the first week trying to verify the best creatives, right?
Right.
And then you'd only have a week of scaling, whereas dynamic, like I said, it normally is pretty good at like finding the best ones and scaling them up. So if you only have 2 weeks, I would do that. Yeah.
And do you suggest, do you find that, because what we have been doing is that we're running 2 different campaigns, I mean, 2 the same campaigns in 2 different ad sets. Do you
Yep.
find that they compete, or if we set different targeting, would that be?
So why are you segmenting the campaigns?
Sometimes when the ad account has been optimized, pixel, the pixel has been seasoned, and the other ad account is new, it tends, like, from experience, the other ad account tends to be better
Sure.
in terms of,
So you're saying you're doing 2 different accounts, 1 campaign in each account? Yeah, that makes sense, but why aren't you just doing both of them in the seasoned account? You're too worried about overlap, or?
Sometimes it's slower, so we wanted it faster just
Okay.
because of the duration of the campaign
Yeah. So why are you setting up the new account, I guess?
for the client.
Okay, so it's in your account, but okay, that makes sense. Yeah, sure, that makes sense.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, new accounts can be, there's a lot of variables, right? You scale too fast, they can shut it down for security. So we don't do much like 2-week launches, or like we're much more an evergreen company, direct to offer. But if we do, like we do docuseries, which have like, I want to spend 100 grand in the next 10 days, right? We have a lot of those too. But we'll try and do something a few weeks before, like running some lead gen to ebooks, spend 5-10 grand to get the account going. Because when we start those docuseries, we're spending 5 grand a day, up to 10 grand a day on them. So we have to season it a bit.
And then for Doctor Series, does the landing page that's long copy work better?
So the opt-in part of it to register for the docuseries is like, I wouldn't say long, it's maybe short to medium, and then the offer is, because it's just an opt-in registration, right? And then the actual sales part after they've been through is still pretty long. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions so far? So, yeah, like I was just finished there. So ad set level, we're testing audiences, dynamic, one day versus 7-day click, and then just we can sometimes put the different cap cost amount within the same campaign. If we're doing big spend, we'll segment it at the campaign level. If it's smaller spend, we might do a few ads at $30, a few ads at $40, a few ads at $50, and put it within the same campaign. And then just ad level, pretty common sense, but we're testing images, videos, headlines, and copy within that kind of setup, okay, within that area. So hopefully that's pretty clear for most of us. Any questions before I go on to the next slide? Cool. So just to kind of go back through what I said, the different strategies here, right? I talked about cap costs. So ROAS and value bidding. So we do a lot of that too for e-com and info. How many people are doing a lot of target ROAS bidding or value? None of us? Wow. So that's super powerful too. If you have straight to offer, like you guys, it might be good. Have you tried it? Or are you going straight to offer?
Running a lot of things on ClickFunnels.
Okay. Oh, you don't have? Yeah, sure. So I would set it up so you can do this. We had one client same where they couldn't do the ROAS, and we made them set it up so we could run this, and it's worked really well. But are you guys clear on what this is? So it's basically like, say you're doing a cap cost where you say, hey, I want to hit a $40 CPA. The ROAS, or value as they call it, bid in, is where you say, hey, I want to hit a minimum of a 2 times ROAS, and it will try and optimize to get you to that ROAS goal. And that for like e-com info for us has been really great as well. So these are like our 2 best for scaling e-com. And then, you know, different audiences. We're obviously doing interest-based, like the question was here earlier. We'll tend to bundle more interest now if they're smaller ones, like health and fitness, for example. 3 years ago, I used to set up one campaign for Whole Foods, one campaign for Men's Health, one ad set for Whole Foods, one ad set for Men's Health, one ad set for whatever, right? Men's Fitness, one ad set for bodybuilding.com. Whereas now, I'll tend to take most of those and put them in one big campaign, one big ad set. We'll obviously put in our custom audiences. We'll do lookalikes, but again, I used to do 1% lookalike, 2%, 3%, all in separate ad sets, whereas now I tend to combine them. So do a bigger pool of lookalikes versus segmenting them. And then occasionally we'll do layered if it's like a niche, right? So we might do bodybuilders that also are vegan, right? If you've got a vegan bodybuilding plan, that would still make sense because it's more niche and you're trying to hit that subcategory. Ad level. So testing a lot of video / image. And this is what I mean by dynamic, right? For you guys that haven't seen it, you can put in different headlines. You can put in different pieces of copy. You can try different call to action buttons. And you can test different images and videos. The kind of rule we live by in the agency, the only rule here, is we won't test image and video in the same dynamic. And that's really important for us, at least, because every time I see us doing that, like in the past, it would never fairly split, test the image versus video. Like I said, Facebook would have make its decision, okay, I'm going to, out of your 5 images or videos, I'm going to put most of my money on these 2. And I would know because we had some super high-level videos made that have got 2, 3, 4 ROAS in the past in the account, and it just wouldn't even spend on those videos when I know they're good videos. So we always segment images and videos into different dynamics. Any questions on that? Yeah.
Is the green check mark just a...
No, just an error. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, my team did this, so that's why. I think I actually didn't even write display URL in, and then they put it in when they checked it. So campaign budgets testing. So like I said, normally new accounts will launch at like $300 to $500 a day. So we try and get to $1,000 a day spend as quick as we can. Like that tends to be a sort of minimum for our agency, because like I said, pretty much all my clients are trying to hit 10 grand a day in spend as fast as they can. I appreciate some of you guys have lower budgets and lower budget clients, so you might start $100 a day, right, which is fine. But we normally have enough creatives and audiences that you have to start at $300 to $500 a day. And kind of the setup I'm going to take you guys through, you'll realize why. Because if you've got 80 ads at $100 a day, that's not much budget, right? It's $1 an ad. Like I said, we're kind of the opposite. I think a lot of companies start middle and bottom of funnel, right? They say, we're going to start here and put in top of funnel. My agency and my philosophy is a little different, because the way I run my businesses and my clients is I don't think you have a scalable business until you're profitable on top of funnel, or at least until you can scale top of funnel, because to me that's like how you scale a business. If you don't have a funnel or an offer that converts to top of funnel or cold traffic, you're always going to be in a big fish in a small pond, right? Playing with your warm audiences. So kind of what we class as success or failure is if we can scale a client top of funnel. If we can't, it's not going to work out long term. Because I know if I can make pretty much anything convert middle or bottom of funnel, right? I'm pretty sure we can all do that. So we don't tend to focus too much on middle and bottom to start, The second reason, well, first reason is because we want to scale them to big figures fast, and like I said, if we can't scale top of funnel, it's not going to work out for me or the client. Second reason is my kind of philosophy too is middle and bottom of funnel are like a small pot of savings, right, or small pool. So my theory is, why do I want to start there when it's only a small audience and do all my testing to this small, really nurtured audience? I would sooner do all my testing to top of funnel, find my best creatives, my best ads, do my landing page split tests, and then when I have like my most powerful combo, roll it out to my middle and bottom of funnel, because I'm going to get way more ROI from that small pool, right? It's like a small resource. It's like a one-trick pony. You can only really, scale to that audience once, and then it'll exhaust a little. So I don't want to do that when I'm like testing. It doesn't make sense to me. I want to test the cold traffic and then kind of roll my most powerful combos to middle and bottom. We normally start with a couple of campaigns, 2 or 3, but like I said, within those, we'll have different audiences and dynamics, so we're still testing a lot of variables. If I was to break it down, like every account's different, right? But if I was to break it down, I would do one campaign with all dynamic images to mixed audiences. I would do one campaign that's not dynamic to just test different headlines and images more clearly out the gate. I would do one dynamic which is different headlines and text, but only video. Okay, like I said, we segment those. We'll tend to do 5 to 10 audiences per campaign. So that could be like for health and fitness, right? It could be weight loss, people that like physical activity. It could be no filter at all. It could be engaged shoppers. It could be lookalike 1 to 10%. It could be lookalike 1 to 5% if we want to test those 2 tiers. So 5 audiences there. And then sometimes we'll just duplicate those 5 audiences and run the same audience twice. And the reason we do that, I found a lot, is Facebook will just naturally, like, one ad will take off and one won't. So we'll run identical ads and then in the first few days kill the losing variation. Okay? Who does that here when they'll set up multiple ads identical and kill them? A couple of you, yeah. So it's really important to do because you'll be astounded how identical ads, one is doing really good, one just doesn't work. It's kind of like the algorithm finding its feet. It just, sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Have a question over here? Yep.
How quickly can you, if you have a ROAS that just all of a sudden takes off at, 4, 5,
Yeah.
how quickly can you raise your spend on that without causing the Facebook to have some type of repercussion and not want to let you do that?
It depends on the offer. Like I said, I would say this month of February, I probably took 2 or 3 accounts from like 0 or a couple of hundred to $5,000 a day. So, but they've been good, strong offers that are pretty broad, right? Whereas some accounts, it can be an uphill battle for 3 months trying to figure out why it can't scale, where the weakness is on the funnel side. If you're getting a 4 ROAS to cold traffic, there's probably not a reason you couldn't scale unless it's just super niche, right? If it's a niche audience. If it's a broad audience and you're getting a 4 ROAS for some of the ads, you should be able to scale that. But if that's middle or bottom of funnel, like I said, I think I said yesterday, I see middle and bottom of funnel or warm traffic as a separate business to cold. And this is where, I mean, you guys that run agencies might agree with me. You get clients that do $2 million a year to their warm audience, and then they hire you to scale to cold, and then they expect the same results, right? And it's like you're asking me to start you a whole new business here. You wouldn't go to a business guru like a Shark Tank guy, Damon John, and say, hey, in 3 months I want a $2 million business. It's not how business works, but people like to assume that what happens to middle and warm traffic is like represents what will happen to cold traffic. You can have a $2 million business that does just to your warm audiences, and it's like impossible to scale with that same offer and pitch and approach to cold. Who kind of experiences that as an agency? Yeah. So it does depend a lot, right, on the offer.
You from, say, going from $100 a day to finding all of a sudden you've got a great ad and say within less than a week go to $5,000 a day?
I mean, that's hard. Like, we do that. Like, I've done that twice this
And they
month.
won't kick you out?
Well, it won't kick you out. I mean, it might suspend the account if it's like a brand new account, but we don't normally have that issue because we kind of have good reps and most accounts are seasoned. The algorithm, yeah, I mean, it doesn't like aggressive spend like that. It has to be a very good offer, has to be a broad audience, and you have to use a lot of the advanced, like, kind of different methods and setup that I've discussed. If you just try and go, okay, I'll change my budget from 100 to 1,000 and I'll do that to 2,000, then no. Like, we're setting up 100 new ads to get it to that level. I'm monitoring that account 4 or 5 times a day when I'm scaling like that, you know?
When you're running ads for your clients, and you said that you want the top of the funnel to convert, are you ever factoring in your agent, like what they're paying you as an agency in that, or is it strictly just ad to profit and you're not factoring in what they're paying you?
I don't factor that in. The clients like to.
Right.
No, I don't because well, so our agency's a little different, right? Because we're doing copy, design, tech, video editing, data analytics.
Okay. It's not just running.
So a lot of our clients, you know, if we do a whole new funnel a month, we would charge over 10 grand, 15 grand to do that funnel, and they're getting that included. So, and I think a lot of our clients understand that too.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, if we're making them $300 a day, I'm like, yeah, this isn't working, right? But like I said, our goal with all our clients is like to get them to 5 grand a day at a good ROAS, or at least 3-4 grand. Because if they're at 3 grand a day with a 2 ROAS and say, you know, their cost of good is 20%, then I know I'm still making them probably close to $1 grand a day, so I'm making them 30 grand a month minimum net there. Okay. So yeah, I wouldn't, we're conscious of it for sure, like me subconsciously is conscious of it, my team are, and I'm sure the client is, but because we're more of an in-house team coming in and building stuff as well, they're getting more value beyond the ad side.
So real quick, so when we're running ads for physical locations, like the business model for a lot of our clients is that when we try to get them as many self-liquidating leads as possible. We're really not trying to get them to make money on the ad itself, because when they come in and they sell the member.
Sure.
But
Different, yeah.
for us, so I mean, obviously if we can make money on the front end, we can. So this is more for non-brick and mortar,
Yeah.
or okay, got it.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, the way I don't run much brick and mortar, I'm more online.
Mm-hmm.
The way I would look at brick and mortar would be, okay, we know statistically every lead is worth $50, right? That's like over the last 3 months, you've had this many leads, close this much, this is your LTV, so every lead's 50. So if I'm getting you $20 leads, I'm making you $30 per lead, and if I'm getting you 40 a month, you know, I'm making you X amount, and that's, you know, if you took my retainer off, you're still in profit here. Like, that's kind of how I would have that discussion. And maybe with you and your team, you just do those maths before, right? Like, this is how many leads we need when they take off our retainer ad spend for it to make sense for them. And you'll still get clients that are like, this makes no sense. I'm like, yes, it does. This is the data and math. And they'll be like, no. I'm like, okay. So, question over here.
So much of the business of your clients is reliant on LTV and ROAS, and you know, in terms of tracking the revenue and making sure that everything is accurate, do you have a good tech team on your side, or do you rely on the client?
No, we don't rely on the client. That's a terrible idea. So I have a full-time data scientist that I hired when I built my agency because I know how much of a nightmare is tracking. That's all his job in my business is to set up tracking for our clients and to verify it. He works 60 hours a week, and that's all he does. And then we have weekly reports. My project managers check the weekly reports with the data guy and the media buyer, and then I scan them and my CMO scans them. So there's 5 different people or teams in my business all checking the client's data, and it's still not accurate for some clients because that's data, right?
Right.
But we do our best, right? So Because sometimes you'll set it all up, best practices, and it's just something's not working, right? Like they're not using UTM codes on their own emails and social, and now it's showing more, and it's like, well, you broke everything. Sometimes the pixels just, there's a plugin conflict, it's not working, but we'll be hot to address it. Like we understand how important it is. So the way I set it up, and I did this more recently, that all my media buyers now have back-end access to the client's CRM, and every day they have to go and compare Facebook data to the back-end CRM as well. So that's another level of protection now, that every day the media buyer is doing that. Because if we spent $4,000 a day and made 7, and the client's CRM says we made 3, that's like a big red flag, like, hey guys, there's something wrong here, right? So yeah, I don't know if that answers your question. Like, don't let the client do it. You probably need to do it. You need to verify it every day. When you're, especially, like if you're spending $200 a day, then you can probably verify it weekly. But when we're spending $4,000 a day, we can't afford to wait a week to find out it was wrong, right?
Right. So then the data scientist, like when you're starting a new client and setting everything up, will set up the.
He builds out a whole like Google Tag Manager like that. He confuses me. Like does a lot of stuff. Yeah. So he builds out a full like. It'll take him the first week or two of the client starting. He'll get it all built out, and he'll go through everything and build it out while we're onboarding them, doing new copy, new videos, new design, everything like that.
And does he also deal with, like, we have a lot of clients that have problems with like discrepancies in analytics versus the interface and, you know, due to attribution and that kind of thing? Is there?
Well, we're presenting the data to the client most of the time, but yeah, we get clients like, hey, this isn't showing up for me. So that's kind of part of his job, is to do, the project managers will tell the data guy, Scott, like what's happening and where the breakdown is, and then he'll work to fix that. Yeah.
One more question. Do you have an organizational process to check all these accounts?
Yeah, hundreds. I mean, yeah, the amount of systems and spreadsheets and SOPs my team have, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But it's kind of needed.
Yeah.
Thanks. Just to clarify, you were saying before that you find a middle of the funnel or bottom of the funnel offer won't transfer back to top of the funnel. Just
Most of the time.
There.
Most of the time.
But you do find it works the other direction. A top of the funnel offer to cold traffic will usually convert to interesting. And when you do all this different testing, you're testing 80 different variations. How big is the spread, you know, in terms of acquisition cost or whatever? Like how from the lowest to the highest? Like,
I mean, it can be, to start, it'll be massive, right? We'll have some, say the CPA goal is $80, right? And it's a $120 product. We'll have some ads at 20, some at 30, some will spend 250 and it'll be a $140 CPA. So it'll be really big to start. And that's why, you know, we try and work with clients that are more bullish and like ready to spend, ready to lose. That's how I work and my clients. So I tell them, like, you know, first few weeks we're going to probably lose a couple of grand, and we're going to scale faster, but you're going to be at $5,000 a day way quicker than most agencies could get you to. And my clients are already doing millions, so they're not interested in spending $1,000 a day to save $200 and scale slowly. So that's more fun for me. That's what I like and what I did with my own businesses. So we try and like jive with clients that are in that kind of mindset. So that, you know, you're going to lose some on the get-go. It's going to let you, you know, the way I tell clients is, look, we'll lose a couple of grand in the first couple of weeks, but with some of my clients, they're making $5,000 a day in net, right? Once it's all working. So it's like everything you lost over 2 weeks, you can make back in 1 day when this works correctly. And we're very careful too, like, you know, when we scale fast like that, it's only on the accounts I'm like really confident in scaling like that. And I'm checking them 4 or 5 times a day. So we're not just like randomly spending either. Any other questions? Cool. So just to finish that, I think, yeah, so we're doing 5 to 10 audiences, and we're normally doing all this as CBO now. So placement-wise, you know, the questions were asked, like what placements do we mess about with? Sometimes we'll do all the placements, sometimes we'll do Facebook only, sometimes we'll do Instagram only. We do a decent amount of Instagram story, that works well for us. because we do custom graphics and videos for Instagram story. But yeah, most of the time, for broad stuff, we're trying to follow Facebook and go broad. Any questions on this?
For the placement stuff, I've been doing some testing recently, and a theory I had was that we're getting punished for being overly selective in our placements.
True.
And
Yeah,
my
I
tests
agree.
have shown that that's what's happening. I was just wondering what you've seen. Because what I did was I said, all right, let's do 2 campaigns, punish for being selective in your placements.
Facebook don't like you to do, they want you to go broad with everything these days. So, like, select, don't like,
placement.
so like here you can say I want to do Instagram only, or I only want to do messenger stories and search. Facebook, what he's saying is Facebook's punishing, like, charging him more because he's trying to be selective.
So what we did was we ran two different types of placement. Basically, we said, all right, data's showing we're getting all of our conversions from these 2 placements. So let's just put them in those 2.
Sure.
And then I did the same thing where we had all placements.
Yep.
All placements still won, even though it put them in the same place. All the conversions still came from those 2 places. But
yeah, I mean, I think they do. I asked my reps and they didn't really answer me, but I've heard other people agree with that too. And also, like, the interesting thing when you're trying to test variables is sometimes we'll test it, it won't work, we'll retest it, and we'll duplicate the campaign 3 times. Because I think a lot of Facebook is, like, you set up a new ad and it's like trying to find its feet. And sometimes, like, maybe that could have won and the algorithm, like, didn't pick it up. It's like trying to surf, right? Sometimes you find a great wave and roll with it. Sometimes I think Facebook, it just doesn't find that perfect wave. And so sometimes testing, like, if I'm really adamant, like, this should win, and it doesn't win, I retest it a couple of times.
okay.
So, because sometimes it just doesn't get going.
It seems like sometimes it's just random. I mean,
It is, yeah.
2 ads, like you said, you've got the same
Yeah,
creative in 2
definitely is.
different places,
Yep.
and one takes off, the other one.
You got to remember, I mean, like, that algorithm is so crazy complex, right? It's like, that's why I think you have to revalidate stuff a lot, because it is, sometimes, there's ads that work in our campaigns where I'm like, there's no way this will work. And it's like somehow working. Yeah, it is like, I say Facebook ads is like gambling. It's like, there's some logic, but there's some luck. Any other questions? Back.
Have you found the same to be, I know you said when you're doing the audiences that sometimes you'll go very broad and then you'll have you'll put certain, like you gave the vegan bodybuilding as an example. Have you found, like with what you said, that going broad with the audiences typically is better? Facebook likes that more than having so many specific interests?
Well, it all depends on the offer, right? Because I think if I was trying to hit vegan bodybuilders, you've got to use some logic, because the way I say is if your offer only applies to 4% of the population, going broad probably won't work. If your offer could apply to 50% of the population, broad probably is going to work better. So part of it depends on, like, the ratio. The way, just to think logically, I think if I lined 100 people up in the street, how many would buy this product or opt in, right? If I would say over half or half, I'll go broad. If I would say 10%, I'll probably go more niche.
Great, thanks.
Any other questions? Cool. So audiences, we've discussed this a lot, right? So I think you guys are good on this now. I've kind of discussed it already. Dashboard setup, you can tailor this however you want. This is just one of our dashboards we grabbed. So you want to be pretty clear on, like, your click-through rate, clicks, cost per click. If you've got trials or opt-ins, add to cart, cost per add to cart, purchases, purchase value, CPA, and ROAS, right? And again, you can tailor that. I think most of you guys know that part of it, but just make sure that's set up correctly. Like, we've hired media buyers, and a few weeks in, I'll, like, screen share, and they don't even have this set up optimally to see all the data. So it's like, how could you ever run an account if you're, like, not looking at all the variables? So this is, like, how we set up our video content. So, we run most of our offers direct to offer. So most of our ads direct to offer, but like I said, we do a lot of content. We do some more like multi-stage video content. So, you know, top of funnel here, so like we'll do 3 tiers. So we might do video content 1 is like 1 to 5 minute videos, just video views. We'll then retarget people that watch over 50% with a longer video. And it can just be like, you know, this video could be something totally random, like five ways to improve health, right? And then this video might be the 3 methods me and my clients use to transform our physique, and that's where you're doing more like the 3 secrets or talking about 3 principles or a couple of principles. You could also do this as a testimonial here, where you, again, like I spoke yesterday, if you're trying to get testimonials, one of the best ways to get them is to give them bullet points where they actually help teach as well, right? So say I scaled a client and made them $1 million, rather than saying, hey, give me a testimonial, I would say, hey, give me a testimonial, intro your business, why you decided to hire me, 3 things we did that no other agency's done that help scale you. So now they're teaching, right, those 3 things. And then, like, would you recommend us? So you can get videos that are more targeted like that, and you could run them here. And then, you know, stage 3 is like more sales video, right? So that's where we might use one of those slideshow videos or a direct face-to-camera sales video. And this is like an example here, and you can do it, like if you have small budgets, you could do $5 a day to each of these videos to build up a video view, and there's so many ways to do this. This is just like one format we follow, and I've taught a lot. So like, talk about biggest problems, talk about your kind of core pillars or beliefs or what you teach and what you practice to help get a result for those problems, and then a solution with a call to action to sales page. Any questions on that? Who here does like video sequence targeting like that? A couple of us. So any questions?
The videos.
So like 1 to 5 minutes here. These could be a little longer, like 3 minutes, maybe 5 minutes up to 10. And then down here, these will be smaller, like a minute, 2 minute.
Do you ever use, how do you use Facebook Live?
How do we use it?
In terms of taking snippets of it and using it, or do you just let
Well,
it
we'll
run
have
on?
clients do it, and we'll boost it, and that'll kind of serve as this part, and then we'll retarget from there. So Facebook Lives can work great, yeah.
Yeah.
They were like really strong like 2 years ago when they brought it out. Really strong. Question down the front?
What about YouTube?
This is a Facebook workshop. I mean, we run YouTube and Google. I have an in-house guy that does it. He used to work at Google. He's a genius. It's not my area of expertise. Like, I understand it pretty well, but I wouldn't say I'm an expert. It can work great. What I've seen with YouTube with clients is it just takes more planning, right? I think with Facebook, you can throw up some headlines, images to some audiences. YouTube, you need a well-designed video that's scripted and kind of in proportion and has the intro, the outro, the call to action. So it's great. It just needs to be, we kind of see that as phase 2 for clients because, again, a lot of what we're doing with clients is building and optimizing the landing page. So the way I tell them is like, it doesn't make sense for me to test on Facebook and YouTube and use like test money to test both. Like, let me test on Facebook, perfect that. That's what I'm like most skilled at. We'll use that traffic to optimize the landing page and the offer. We'll perfect the offer and the funnel, and then we can roll it out to YouTube with more success because we already know the best videos, the best hooks, the best angles. The landing page is optimized, the upsells are optimized, the AOV is high. So it's just like it's going to gain more traction quicker.